Rosa could be seen in the parlor. It seemed that the relatives all wanted to be alone now that they had dispersed for a short break. Since everyone had avoided the parlor, the obvious place for people to gather, Rosa was able to have this relaxing comfy room all to herself. That didn't mean she looked relaxed. Her expression was heavy with gloom and weariness. And the cup of black tea that she had brought from the dining hall had gone stone cold. Comforting silence. Now that no one else was in sight, Rosa's heart finally awoke. She was always treated like a kid in the conferences with her three siblings. She had no influence at all. But possibly because of that, she was apparently considered to be a neutral party. And the siblings would often ask for her agreement, sometimes even treating her like an adjudicator or a judge. Well, it's more so about numbering powers. They see you as a weak person. And at the same time, the fact that someone would actually agree with them rather than them being alone in what they're thinking, it is better to have Rosa's agreement in that, because one person talking about it and wanting that is not as good as having two people go along with that. And they would definitely use Rosa for that. I had to find almost 100 million yen by March. And that was supposed to be my great commitment. A burden I bore to help support his business.
今はもうよくわからない。借金を無事に返済できたら彼は連絡をくれるのだろうか。冗談じゃない。今さら連絡なんかくれてもこっちから願い下げよう。でもあなたはマリアの父親なのよ。せめて一度でいいから会ってあげて。愛というのは貫くのも辛いのですね。誰
？Though no one should have been in the partner, someone suddenly spoke to Rosa, and she jumped. Well, I guess you can see Kanon as a ninja sometimes. He does that from time to time. And just when had it happened? Kanon could be seen standing there. Man. The male adults really do get the short end of the stick here. And you would think that it's the opposite way around, because they would be surviving a lot more, but clearly the female department is getting some attention in these tests. My god. I guess this means that Rosa's gonna be the next sacrifice. Okay then, let's do this. Even considering that she had been deep in thought, to think that she hadn't noticed him at all.
びっくりしたわ。ごめんなさい。考え事をしてて気づかなかったみたい。何？いえ、ローザ様を今苦しめているのは愛ゆえにです。違いますか？唐突ね。何の話かよくわからないわ。ローザ様はマリア様の父親に借金の連帯保証人を求められ、それを引き受けられました。困った子ね。クラウス兄さんが話してたのを廊下か何かで聞いてたのね。
True. Earlier this day, in this very room, Kraus had seen through to the fact that Rosa was bearing a massive debt because she had become a co-signer on a loan. However, he hadn't said that her partner had been Maria's father. Why did Kano know so much? Maybe because of a certain little witch? ローザ様はとても聡明な方です。
連帯保証人を引き受けることがどういう意味を持つかよく考えもせず引き受けたわけがありません。
席こそまだだったけれど、これから結婚する相手でパートナーだと思ってた。私の名前がなければ借りられないお金なら、それに協力するのが未来の妻の役目だと思ったのよ。
未来は来ましたか？
No, it hadn't. So afterwards, Rosa was always alone, and Maria never had a father. However, time moved on. Maria, who should have been a symbol of their union, just kept growing, almost like a living hourglass measuring the length of the hill Rosa had crawled through. Because of that, Maria's growth hurt.
皮肉よね。私はあの男のことを何度も忘れようとしたわ。でもね、忘れても借金は消えないのよ。
It was only natural. And so, whether or not she forgot her love, she had to do all she could to pay that money back.
でもね、こうも思うの。私が立派に返済しきったら、それは彼が私に与えてくれた愛の試練に打ち勝ったという意味にもなるの。結局は返さなくちゃいけない借金なのに、どうしてその結果得られる愛を先に自ら捨てるの？返済してから考えても遅くはないと思わない？
It may have been a trick of words that only those who have suffered through love could understand. Even Rosa vaguely realized that she might have been deceived. However, if she was able to succeed in paying back the loan, he might acknowledge her usefulness as a wife. When that happened, she might be able to regain her love. But if she had already abandoned that love, then what? This debt, this trial that he had given her, would become completely meaningless. Yeah, for her, the debt itself appeared to be a trial of love. In fact, the very fact that she looked at it that way might have been her blindness due to love, as well as proof that she still hadn't cast off her infatuation with the past. Basically, even now, she still suffered. And that suffering would continue, and this until she paid back the massive loan, and let a good deal of time pass after that, until she could finally lay her feelings toward him to rest. To basically gain freedom.
これがキリエ様の言う地獄なのか。
そうね。何の話かは分かりかねるけど、私の世界が地獄で満たされていることは間違いないわ。
それはどうやったら終わらせられるのですか？
さあね。それが分かったら誰も恋の病に蝕まれたりはしない。
That disease is a serious one. It sometimes eats into a person for their entire life, spreading to and hurting the people closest to them. And that disease was torturing her now as much as it ever had.
キリエさんの話が出たから言うけど、彼女の話は私にとって希望、夢。
Though she had her man stolen from her, she persevered for 18 years. She never failed to despair, and instead continued to support Rudolph, lying in wait for a miracle.
マリアはまだ9歳よ。キリエさんが待った18年のまだ半分じゃない。それくらいで音を上げてたら彼女に笑われるわ。
あと9年で奇跡が起こると思いますか？
I mean, okay, let's not go through the whole zero escape route over here. Let's go our own path here.
それを疑ったらおしまいよ。ある意味、私は亡霊なのよ。 私はすでに死んでいる。それに気づかず生きている。
決して来ない人を永遠に待つ亡霊。
そうよ。彼の夢を応援したいなんて甘えたことを言ったあの日に、私は多分もう死んでいた。やっぱりあの日は後悔すべき日だったのかしら。俺には夢がある。海外を巡りたい。このちっぽけな日本を飛び出して必ず大物になって帰ってくる。懐かしいわね。あの頃の私は互いの途方もない夢を認め合うのが恋人同士だみたいな考えだった。だから彼も私がデザイナーとして大成してパリで新作を発表して取材陣にもみくちゃにされるなんて夢を楽しそうに語って喜ばせてくれたわ。思えば本当におかしな地に足がついてない日々だった。互いに互いを浮かれさせてふわふわし合ってる感じだから、彼が日本を飛び出したいなんて言い出した時、私はそれを喝采して応援を約束したわ。
Acknowledging each other's great dreams that might never be is a standard sort of pillow talk for lovers. But once they start to translate into actual action, from that point on, I should have been serious and practical.
私はあの日彼を見送ったことを長いこと誇りにしてた。今も誇りにしてる。
でも後悔もしているんですね。
そうよ。あの日泣きわめいて反対してたら私は地獄に落ちなかったかもしれない。それを笑顔で見送ったのが私の勝利？違うわ。それはある意味戦うべき時を自ら放棄した不先輩みたいなものだった。私はその負けを美化して男の海外への挑戦を笑顔で見送り、海外しく娘と帰りを待つ良き女の幻想に酔ってるだけ。電話一本よこさず彼が教えてくれた住所への郵便も転居先不明で戻ってくるのにね。ここが地獄よ。戦うべき時に戦わなかったことを死ぬまで後悔する地獄。私はその地獄に娘まで引きずり込んでいる。いっそ誰かに殺されたい。お前はすでに殺された。亡霊なのだと宣告されたい。
恋は戦わなくちゃ地獄を這う。
そう、恋は戦う
勝って得るか負けて死ぬか。
もの。でもどうか死を恐れないで。
なぜならそれは安らかな眠りだから。真に恐ろしいのは勝てずそして死ねもしなかった眠れぬ亡者たちの落ちる地獄。
その地獄に終わりはない。
恋の戦いは戦いもせず死ねもしなかった者に最も残酷なんだ。
恋は当たって砕けろってわけだ。そういう討ち死にはせいせいするよな。
人を最も苛む毒薬は恋を腐らせて作るという。その苦しみはどのような悪趣味な地獄の拷問をも上回る。
She said this as a warning to motivate her double and little sister, encouraging her to take on any trial, no matter how severe.
わかります。
After all, when my desire to have Bever-san one day accept me wells up in my chest, I can feel the seed that resides there.
その種を芽吹かせるの 死なせるも自由。でもそのまま胸の中で腐らせれば、きっとその毒は私を永遠に苛む。それこそが我ら千年の魔女をしても最も恐れる、世界で一番恐ろしい拷問だ。
見届けよ、恋を愛を軽んじる者たちよ。このローザの地獄こそが
恋の種を芽吹かせる勇気を持てず、腐らせたる者がたどる末路。
その苦しみは自分の手では終わらせられない。
Huh? Just now, was that a red light? Alright, well, you said you'd rather die, so let's get this over with.
何？
Just now, I thought I saw something strange. I wonder if I'm tired. It's probably just my imagination. Rosa picked up her cup of cold tea. When she did, she saw a small, red rose petal floating on the surface. A rose?
そのソファーはローザ様が幼少の頃好んで横になられたものと聞いております。
It wasn't a rose petal. It was a drop of blood that had fallen from Rosa's eyes. In an instant, Kano had beautifully and precisely cut just a single thread of Rosa's life. There was no wound on Rosa's body. There were only the few drops of blood that dripped down from her eyes. Her pain, her uncertainties, and her worries were all gone now. Slowly, she collapsed onto the sofa and lay there. That being one of her most blissful habits during the most blissful time of her life.
おやすみなさいませ、ローザ様。あなたの地獄は今終わりました。
Kanon took a blanket out of a cupboard and gently covered Rosa with it. He would have looked to anyone, just as though Rosa was sleeping peacefully. Those demons had not exaggerated when speaking of love, as of battle and a charm. In fact, although cruel, this could be even said to be an honest reflection of reality, in the sense that it made no attempt to hide the fact that to lose in love is to die.
これで僕のノルマは終わりだ。見届けたか、悪魔ども。しまった。
Okay, I was thinking there that this was way easier. I was thinking that we would move on to the next test, but okay.
よくもママを殺したな。
Oh, hey Mario.
よくもママを殺したな。
One of the two great witches of Maria Socia, Maria. Though she was just an apprentice, the power sleeping within her had impressed even Beatrice at the height of her strength. In Maria's eyes, though, Rosa was the Black Witch. She was also the vessel of the mother she couldn't help but love. Her anger to having that stolen from her was near madness.
よくもママを
Maria's attack was too emotional. Because of this, she didn't notice that Kanon had already disappeared in the span of a few short moments. And she released her barrage of what had become empty space. In the meantime, Kanon jumped from wall to wall, around to Maria's back.
あれ
ノルマ以上の殺しは不本意だ。でも火の粉は払う。
風流
お前。
Okay, seriously. I really don't want this. Can we just... I don't know, can we just do this later? Maria? Sakutaro? Do you really both have to be...
外交官特権僕とマリアを照準することを許さない。
しまった。
The red trailing sword that extended from Kanon's hand dissipated in an instant. He managed to make it reappear, but when he tried to use it on Maria and Sakutaro again, it vanished once more. Because of Sakutaro's power, he was unable to make either of them the target of his attacks.
いた。いつの間にそんなところに。ウリュウ。マリアをいじめる人は誰であっても許さない。
Maria finally noticed where Kanon was, and she slowly turned around. Kanon made his sword materialize yet again. But no matter how often he tried, it kept fading out, like a flashlight with bad battery. Well, it seems here that your light sword is not gonna be of any use. It's like a default lightsaber.
もう逃がさない。マリアのママを奪った罪許さない。殺す。ママがみんなを殺したように無慈悲に殺す。
As Maria howled, the entire party was surrounded by a cube of red, magic barriers. It was a locked room symbolizing a barrier that Kanon could never escape.
くそー。こんなところで。
Kanon cursed his bad luck. You know he had fulfilled his goal in the demon's trial. If he was killed here, he'd be dragged off of the game board.
マリア、ほどほどにね。ほどほどに。ママよりちょっとだけ手加減するよ。
Oh, hey there, Shannon.
失礼します、マリア様。ゼパル様、フルフル様との契約によりお命頂戴いたします。シャノン、邪魔をするなー。無駄だよ、シャノン。マリアは誰にも照準できない。はい、照準など大それたことはいたしません。ただ私は身を守るだけです。
A cylindrical red magical barrier surrounded Shannon as she stood in the center of the parlor. Its brightness and thickness grew, and its radius quickly expanded, filling up the room. It wasn't targeting Maria. Shannon was wielding this power to protect herself. So, Sakutaro's power didn't make it disappear. Okay, well, that's a good point. Sakataro is gonna target whatever is attacking Maria.
お嬢様への気持ちはこんなところでついえるの。しっかりなさい。
By now, the shield which shone under the center had covered up the entire room. Its power crushed Maria and Sakataro into the corner of the room. Ironically, it was the locked room barrier Maria had set up to prevent Kano from escaping that they were pressed against, and that together had them completely trapped.
チェックメイトです、マリア様。よろしいですか？うん、いいよ。潰して。それでは、これにて。
The entire room was filled with the red light of the shield, and the output and pressure were raised to their limits. Then, crushed between the shield and their own locked room barrier, Maria and Sakataro lost their forms, scattered into a spray of gold, and disappeared. Sorry, Maria. Sakataro.
ありがとう。ここで消えるわけにはいかなかった。
こんなとこで負けてたら諦めがつかないもの。
そうさ。こんなとこで負けてたら諦められない。
ゼパル様、フルフル様、私たちも共に試練を終えました。これでよろしいですか？
いやー、本当にお見事だね。
A 2-in-1 package, it seems. My, and splendid record.
二人とも文句なしだったよ。
では最後はベアトリーチェの番かしら。おや？彼女はどこに？
もちろん彼女の選んだ生贄のところにさ。さあ、私たちもそこに行ってみよう。
Now, that's right. Let's go. Natsuki could be seen in her room. Karaos had instructed her to retire for the night, but she couldn't afford to lie around sleeping on an important day like this. However, she was aware that she was the type to get excited easily, and that this sometimes held her husband back. So, though she didn't like it one bit, there was no way around it. It was probably close to the time for the break to end, and the family conference to begin once again in the dining hall. Her husband would probably have to protect the Ushiromiya family honor from his greedy siblings, all by himself. If she grew emotional by his side, she would just tie him down. And though she knew that quietly waiting here was the best way she could support him, that didn't make the waiting any easier. Natsuki opened a drawer and took out the small box she kept her treasures in. This was her secret box. Inside was everything from valuable items to mere odds and ends. However, they were all precious, memorable treasures in Natsuki's eyes. She pulled a small pouch out of the box. She emptied its contents onto her palm. It was the kind of charm that her birth family had given her when she had married. It was a spirit mirror to ward off evil. Her face was reflected in the mirror. She wasn't as young as she once was. Recently, she had begun to see a bit of her parents and grandparents in her own face. So, when she stared at her reflection in the mirror like this, she felt as though her soul had returned to the side of her parents and the family she had been born into.
お父様、お母様、夏日が不勉強なばかりに夫の支えになれません。
Of course, her face in the mirror did not answer. However, Natsuhi continued.
夫を愛しているからこそ私はここで待っています。しかし愛は寄り添うものと私は思ってしまいます。ここでこうしているのが一番の協力になると理屈では分かっているのに、そんな自分に惨めさを感じてしまうのです。辛いですね。愛ゆえに待つのは。
A tear plopped onto the mirror. Old, dear memories of her life as her parents' house rose up inside her. Now is the time for her to follow her parents' example. When her father came home late, her mother would always sit up straight waiting for him, prepared for him to arrive at any moment. She would always wait for him, kneeling in the entrance hall. And no matter how late he came home, she would always wake up all her children and line them up to greet him. At the time, I only thought of her as being exceptionally strict. But at this age, I finally understood how strong she was, persevering in her love for her beloved husband, even after being left alone in charge of the house.
その夫への愛ゆえに、見知らぬ赤子を抱かされるのが許されなかったのですね。
The sudden voice made Natsuhi jump up and look about the room. When she did, there stood a Western lady wrapped in an extravagant dress. Man, way to go for the hit, like, straight from the beginning, reminding her of the baby.
誰です？
Natsuhi was confused. There was no one like this in the mansion. However, though this was supposedly her first time meeting this person, it felt as though she had seen her somewhere before. Her anger at the ruffian who had snuck into her private room, and her confusion over the appearance of someone she didn't know, caused her mind to go blank. So much so that it took quite a bit of time before she realized that this was the witch of the portrait.
あなたが19年前のあの日に見知らぬ赤子を殺めたことに、私
何の話ですか？
Bato had chosen Natsuhi as her sacrifice. It was because of what Natsuhi had done to Balor. Bato didn't know much about the details of Balor's birth. Oh? Oh! However, after discovering the fragment of the previous game, she had learned that there was a chance that Balor was the baby that Natsuhi had pushed off a cliff 19 years ago. Although there was just a blue wedge that Balor had used to protect Natsuhi from being framed, Bato thought it might have been a confession from Balor himself. And if that was the case, to her, Natsuhi was an enemy who probably forced Balor to live a painful life.
夫への愛ゆえに、夫の血を引かぬ赤子を殺した罪を私は愛ゆえに問いません。
何の話か分かりません。出て行って、ここは私の部屋です。
ならば私の愛ゆえにあなたを殺すこともまた問わないでください。
Bato slowly stuck out her arms. And with both hands, she squeezed the air in front of her. That squeeze tightened around Natsuhi's throat. Oh, jeez, I didn't think that you were gonna use the force on her, Bato. Eh. Natsu's heels lifted off the ground, and a faint purple hand shape appeared on her throat. Natsu frantically scratched at her throat, trying to stop whatever was strangling her, but there was nothing there. So, to an outsider, just looked as though Natsu was standing on her toes in anguish, scratching on her own throat.
愛し合う二人たちが皆決意を見せました。私のバトラさんへの思いがそれに劣っているとは思いません。私が19年前のあなたの罪を咎めないように、私も自らのこの罪を咎めません。
As Natsu twisted in agony, something she had been grasping fell from her grip. He lowered over the battle, who dropped her gaze to see what it was. Oh my goodness! Lucifer, is that you? It was Natsu's spirit mirror. When Beto peered into it, there was a loud crack like a burst of electricity. Now, I mean, I thought it was the stake. I mean, how would a mirror roll on the floor? It would be more like the stake that is rolling, but whatever. And that sound released Natsu from the invisible hands, and made Beto topple backwards like a doll. Coughing, Natsu tried to comprehend what was going on around her. Beto, whose head was still reeling and foggy as though she had hit it against something hard, slowly attempted to get to her feet. Her eyes were bewildered, as though even she didn't really understand what had happened.
これは何なんですか？これは意外だ。雲の巣を触っても平気だったそなたが霊境はダメだというのか？私にも何が何だか分かりません。一体何が？
She had thought that only Beto the Elder possessed non-human weak points, such as getting burned by spiderwebs and wards and having her power sealed by spirit mirrors. However, for some reason, this spirit mirror alone could apparently affect her as well. Even she couldn't understand what about the spirit mirror could have such an overpowering effect on her. But Natsu was different. She instantly realized that the reason for the hesitation for this unearthly being, this witch of the portrait, had to be the power of the mirror. So, she rapidly crawled across the floor and picked up the mirror. Then, she stuck it out so that Beto could see it. Beto still didn't fully understand what was happening, so, still sitting down, she looked vacantly at it. And this time, both of them understood the situation completely. Beto realized that the mirror was working some hateful power against her. And Natsu realized that the spirit mirror had the power to repel witches.
それはお前が横島な魔女だからです。霊言新たかなるこの霊境は邪悪な存在のすべてを退けるのです。それを向けないで。
When the spirit mirror still held out, Natsu cautiously closed the gap between them. Oh my goodness, how is Beto gonna get out of this predicament? I do have to wonder. She was cautious, so as to prevent the witch from suddenly lashing out and staring the mirror. But she steadily moved forward according to deceive.
あなたが何者なのか私には分かりません。分かるのはあなたは私を殺そうとしたこと、そしてこの霊境にひるむ邪悪な存在であるということです。退きなさい、邪悪め。
Beto didn't understand what was happening to herself. She didn't know why she had to fear the spirit mirror. However, when she tried to look at the bright light let off by the spirit mirror, it pierced her eyes. She understood that she had to be afraid, even if she didn't understand why. By now, Beto realized that the spirit mirror was both terrifying. Beto realized that the spirit mirror was both terrifying and harmful. As it came closer to her, she felt an increasingly strong burning sensation over her whole body, as though someone was approaching her with a hot iron. She couldn't even open her eyes because of the mirror's bright, painful glint.
Sa, 元の世界へ退散なさい、横島なる者よ。この後ろ宮夏日、邪悪に対して一歩たりともひるみはしません。
It's no use. Why? Why is this musty mirror so... If I lose you, I'll be the only one to fail this trial. Just like George-san and Shannon-san, and Jessica-san and Kanan-san. I want better-san to see value in me and treasure me. I've finally managed to admit that, so I can't fail now.
諦めちゃうの？あなただけが？
信じるんだ。愛の奇跡は必ず起こる。
Love Valor-san. I want him to notice me. And I want him to recognize and accept my feelings. My reason for calling him father as I dedicated myself to him. Oh! Was that no one helps a parent expecting something in return. And that helped me to come to terms with getting nothing back. That is an interesting point. Yeah. Like, metaphorically speaking, I guess. Unrequited love. Though it was a deception to fool myself with. I love Valor-san. And I want him to recognize that. I admit it. I won't hide from it any longer. I was born to love Valor-san, and to have him love me back.
だからこんなところで負けられないんです。
Okay. Okay, well this is interesting. Okay, I'm curious. Let's see where this is gonna go.
退散なさい、横島なる者よ。ここにあなたの居場所は存在しません。